crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? Which one's the best? Which one's the best?
It's an interesting time.
Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Discover choppy crypto, man. The markets are just melting up and down. Trump is just shaking the markets. He's actually speaking right now. So we wanted to jump in a few minutes early live so we could talk and hear exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, hoping that we may get some questions answered about what's going on with the economy and the shutdown. But we're going to be diving into some charts and so much. But let's dive in, hear what Trump's got to say. Let me know. Do you think Trump's going to dump the market again? Drop a 1. Do you think Trump's going to pump the market? Drop a 2. With that, let's listen to what Trump's got to say.
They won't be doing it anymore.
President Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in Ukraine.
Who has?
First Lady Melania Trump has been helping in returning abducted Ukrainian children from Russian captivity. President Zelensky, do you appreciate those efforts? How do you assess them? And did you ask her to step in and to help you?
No, she wanted to do it. She's felt very strongly about the children, and she's done a really good job, I think, in bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children involved. Now, it's some people say it's 20,000 and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But she felt very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
President Trump, if you okay tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the tomahawks? Do we have enough?
That's a problem. We need tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. We need tomahawks, or we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say,
yeah, please.
Just to understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have tomahawks. That's why we need tomahawks. But United States is a very strong production.
Zelensky's a creature.
The United States has tomahawks. And
yeah, just so you guys know, we're going to be diving into the charts, but we want to make sure we catch anything what's going on with Trump since he's shaking the markets. We got a lot of really key charts and signals that we're going to be breaking down, and some really scary signals that are kind of trying to percolate to flash. So let's continue this for a few more minutes. And if it's a nothing burger, we're going to jump right on into the charts. Drop that like, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep going.
Military goals. It's only about military goals.
Right. But then you would authorize some kind of an exchange. Where
yes, of course.
Yes,
we have proposition. We have big proposition with our drones.
President Trump, I don't mean to be brokering an arms deal here, but is that something that you would be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say there's nothing like the jets. We knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So it's, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones, the ones, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth. They were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons, And, I have an obligation also, though, to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen in war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about tomahawks, and would much rather have them not need tomahawks, would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week, thousands of people, Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. Mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
Can you give us an update on the trade negotiations with China, or perhaps Secretary Benson?
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to let Scott do that. But I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China's would like to have something as of this moment. We'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea.
You think
Myself.
will go forward?
I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because it was so much. He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say it wasn't the same thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing. But I put on very, very serious tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. And then I left office. The election was rigged. I left office, and that was the story. Now I come back, and we are in a very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we've made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea a couple of weeks. And I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, you want to say a few words on that, please?
Yes, sir. So the entire relationship stems from the great respect that the two leaders have for each other. China did a substantial, unprovoked escalation last week. We were unable to get in touch with them. Since then, it's been IMF World Bank Week. They have had working level people here who there have been meetings. The vice premier, who is my counterpart, and I will be speaking this evening at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then he and I and a delegation will meet in Malaysia probably a week from tomorrow to prepare for the two presidents to meet. So I think that things have de-escalated. We hope that China will show the respect that we have shown them. And I am confident that President Trump, because of his relationship with President Xi, will be able to get things back on a good course.
Is the hope for that meeting with you and President Xi some kind of trade deal then, or
Could be. Look, I think we're in a very strong
different-
position. I think we're in a very strong position. We're getting, as you know, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted, a 100% tariff over and above what we get now. So that would make it about 157%. And China doesn't want that, and they want to talk, and we're talking. And I think we'll make a deal that will be good for both. I think we will do something, but you have to understand, we never got anything from China. It was a one-way street for many years, for decades, it was a one-way street. And they became rich because of the United States. And frankly, presidents that, let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know. They didn't understand what was happening to them. But I understood it. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in amazement at how stupid our country was, how stupid they were. And we're not stupid anymore. And that includes with the European Union. That includes with Japan and South Korea. We're all we want to do is be treated fairly. But the fairly is hundreds of billions.
Guys, do you all think this is political theater? Everything going on? Do you think there's actually real strife going on between China and Trump and all these things, or do you think it's a bit more orchestrated? Throw a 1 in chat if you think it's orchestrated. Throw a 2 in chat if you think there's actually beef going on.
Seeing that, but I'd love to see it ended before that.
President,
I mean, I think we have a chance of ending the war quickly if flexibility is shown on behalf. And again, we're not losing people. The United States is not. We're not losing people. We're not spending money. We're getting paid for the, ammunition and missiles and everything else that we're sending to the European Union, but to NATO. But it's very similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very similar. And we just made a very fair trade deal with the European Union. And what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. They pay for all of this. That's not what we're in this for. We're in it to save thousands of lives every week, thousands and thousands of lives. That's why we're in it. And I think we have a very good chance of bringing this war to a conclusion.
Europe's president and your cabinet has done honestly an excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that.
Thank you.
I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice be to American leaders, to world leaders, to neocons, to TV hosts who often speak about conflict in abstract or strategic terms rather than the human cost and the human terms?
Look, my only statement is we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, 3 presidents. And I'm the mediator president. And I'm mediating not an easy situation. It should be easy, but it's a lot easier when people understand each other, and when they get together, and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around. Maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little bit of distance, and we're going to see if we can get it done. This is number 9, okay? This will be number 9 for me. I've solved 8, including the Middle East. I've solved 8. This, I thought, would have been among the easiest. President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia, all of the different wars. He said it was amazing but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle, and I think we will be able to settle.
Brian.
Sir, on that note, you will go down as a peacemaker, no doubt, and you will resolve this war.
Well, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo, talk about India and Pakistan, look at Thailand, look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman, very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous. So I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when they have nothing to do with us. I guess just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan. And you look at Pakistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, 2 nuclear nations, right? So I say this, This is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime, I have to run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed, and I've saved millions and millions of lives, and I think we're going to have success with this war. Wait, please.
This President Zelensky, this is your third Bible.
Bro.
And by the way, you look excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good for you, by the way.
I love how the chat's just downgraded like Honda Civics and Ford Focus instead of a Lambo now.
Oh, best comment of the day. Please, Trump, solve the war on my portfolio. Do you guys agree with that? I think we all could say quadruple double one on that.
First of all,
for
about
sure.
suit. The same suit because the same president. It's very simple. The next president will have another suit. Yes. About our relations with President Trump, I think we have important dialogues. And I think we begin to understand each other. Yes. And I know that President is briefed very well about situation in the battlefield. And he knows a lot what's going on the battlefield in Ukraine. And I think it really helps. When you know a lot of things, a lot of details about one or another war, it helps a lot. But we are still in war. And I hope we can manage it. I think it's
there are some
important.
countries that are not meeting their commitment. You pointed out Spain. They said that like it's impossible.
No, Spain has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been, they're the only one. Everyone went up to, as you know, I mean, you were at 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that. I think Spain should be reprimanded for
Those
that. I think it's very bad
comments
that
are
they
killing
did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain.
They cannot be expelled from NATO.
Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella for trade.
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right?
President President tell you that Putin is serious.
That's of interest.
Mr.
Does
President,
They're
President
protected by
tell you that-
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you think you can carry the momentum from the Middle East deal over to this deal? And if
I do.
So, how does that move the needle?
Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear. They took that was an unbelievable military maneuver, the B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s. Yeah, I think nobody expected that to happen. And, you know, we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish, you had every country, Christian, you had every country, and many countries involved. And we got that done. And we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done. And I think the table is set properly here now, too. And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done. And the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great. And obviously, they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common. So it'll be a great honor to get it done. Yeah.
On Venezuela, there are survivors from your latest boat strike. What happens to those survivors?
Well, I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly.
And how are there survivors when these are meant to be lethal attacks?
Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine.
Bro,
and
shut up.
that was a drug carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs. Just so you understand, this was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And that was an attack on a drug carrying, loaded up submarine. Yeah.
On Putin, is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hicks put it, is that bringing him to the table? The fact that it's kind of a carrot and stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to. I think he wants to make a deal. That's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. You know, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away, actually. But they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon. And it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal. But one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over. Okay?
Putin-Trump tunnel to connect Russia and Alaska. Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one.
Guys, we're going to be jumping into the charts
I
here.
hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska.
These comments
it's going to get us to a lot of
giving
minerals.
a nice
so we
bit of comedy,
have a piece
levity
of it, a
in the
good
room.
piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked it.
President Trump, do you think that Vladimir Putin, do you think that Putin's your gut instinct?
Well, we had a senator that wanted, remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii. And she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, a Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii. Right? You know who that is, right? She's another. She's another beauty.
President Trump, on Putin, your gut instinct.
Yeah, please.
On your meeting with Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am. But, I've been played all my life by the best of them.
I used to eat that when I was a kid.
I came out really well. So it's possible. Yeah, a little time.
Is your gut
It's
instinct
all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal. Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do think. And if we didn't give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were heading to Kiev. So, in war, you have a lot of luck too. People, weather has won war, and
Yes,
the
sir.
cold and the heat and all things take place in war. But that was a very interesting moment when the tank started rolling and some brilliant general said, let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway, right? So they got a little bit lucky. But you know where they really got lucky? I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets. There's a statement. Obama gave them sheets and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are a devastating weapon. And that wasn't given by Obama. That was given by, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by me. So it was like one of those things. And you had hundreds of them. They're a devastating weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use them. But that was a big moment. When the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it. But it was a big moment in time.
Do you think Democrats will give you credit? Do you think Democrats will give you credit when you finally end this war, like they did with the war in the Middle East? And
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take 1.5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy. They want to destroy our healthcare system. We're not going to let that happen.
Do you authorize CIA operations in Venezuela?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world. I'll say that.
It's been reported, Mr. President, it has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded.
Yeah, we're gonna get to charts here in just a moment. About 2 more minutes, I think.
He's
holding up pretty good.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
Oh!
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Whoa!
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Whoa!
That was the hot take. What? I mean, he ended with he doesn't want to fuck with the United States. Holy malarkey. And it did absolutely nothing to the
Hold on,
price
let's
action.
censor the language real quick. Okay, there we go. We're safe, dude. That was crazy. Okay, do we dump now to the president, Chris Kelly? The first chart I feel like we need to look at.
The chart?
The chart and chart is Bitcoin. We charted last night pretty heavily, down to like 103, I think it was 103 and some change. And we're trying to bounce back. All metrics are broken. Trump just cursed in the White House. Also, this I like how Rubio's like, we're not going to release any details about that. And Trump's like, it was a submarine. It's just like, what is going on? Let's look at Bitcoin
I'm
chart.
still a little befuddled on the way he closed that out. Dude, he's just like, dude.
Oh
what?
my god!
Well, let's zoom out. I got it. There's a video coming out tonight. Also, I didn't upload on I'm not going to break it down here. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I really go into depth in the video. It's only like 6 minutes, 7 minutes long. But there's things we can look at on the chart. The very key levels that we want to pay attention to that we're tickling right now. It could spell disaster. So make sure you tune into that video tonight. Turn on your notifications. Again, remember that's at the Discover Crypto YouTube page. Make sure you're following along there, subscribing. But when we're looking at what's going on in the price action on Bitcoin, these areas have, long since been lost. But when we're looking at what's going on here, remember, we're only just trading sideways. This is still just chopping sideways. We're kind of hanging on to a key level. Look at where that price is with the crosshairs on my chart, where my mouse is. Again, if you want crosshairs on your chart to make it easy, right click, come down to settings, come over here to canvas crosshair, pick your color, how you want it to look. It makes it very easy. Just drag your mouse down and you see where this line kind of finds support or resistance. In this case right here, option H. And look at where the price is kind of trying to tackle right now. Seems like a fairly important level we need to pay attention to. If we can get back down to like the 4-hour chart and realize, man, this just feels like it's trying to wash people out. I don't see the end of the cycle. However, I feel like the market is trying to do its best to shake people out. So does that mean doing its best to shake people out? Does that mean it needs to break 100,000? Does that mean it's going to test 88? Does that mean are there other signals that if that happens, that means the bear market's officially started? I don't really see that as a case right now. I'm curious your thoughts, Drew, when you're looking at this, just your general feel when you're looking at the price action and Bitcoin's kind of sitting on what seems to be a pretty key level here on multiple different signals. What are you feeling?
We got to cover a few things on this. I'll share my screen here. We had BlackRock outflows yesterday, and there seems to be a little bit of battening down the hatches in terms of risk assets for the moment being. So But in aggregate, we're still up by $1 trillion in 2025. So US ETF flows still up by $1 trillion, a little bit less than 2024. This is worth watching. I think a lot of people are kind of de-risking. We are going on one of the longest government shutdowns we've ever seen, continued today as the Senate rejected a funding bill for the 10th time. This is what happens when political partisanship meets a crescendo and there is no longer anything that can be done at a political level. Also, extended fears from China's defense ministry warning against U.S. and our attempts to arm the Taiwanese region. There is a DDoS attack on our attention span right now. The mainstream headlines are looking at this. John Bolton pleading not guilty to 18 criminal charges of mishandling classified materials.
Well, this all seems like a sham, and then you start realizing, oh, it's weaponizing the DOJ, and then you realize the FBI breaking into Mar-a-Lago, right, and all this, and then this is the same time John Bolton was in power, and then you realize John Bolton, when he was in his position, what was he, National Security Advisor or something like that?
Yeah, well, I believe so. I know
he
John
was
Bolton,
writing notes to himself on strategic national security issues in his AOL email account.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You're telling me that if that has gone after that's weaponization of the Department of Justice, whereas you saw, I mean, it's just there's a shakeup on the political structure and the geopolitical stage right now. Again, I want to just share this. This is what we're feeling in the market right now. It's remove this guy right here. This is kind of what it's feeling like. It's like, I thought it was supposed to go up. Nope. And it's that up arrow and all these down arrows. This is all the FUD that everybody's feeling in the market right now.
Mm-hmm. It is. And there's a lot of updates in terms of the relationship with China. It looks like Trump's going to actually be able to meet with China in 2 weeks from now, saying that he thinks we're going to be fine last night. It didn't hold up on the charts, obviously. And then really there's a lot of kind of main moving averages that people are watching pretty closely. Kelly's going to be breaking down in a dedicated upload video tonight. I will say that if it was easy to find mega upside in crypto, everyone would have done it, right? I've only learned to lean into fear moments in crypto. Where we're sitting right now is indeed a fear moment. But this is a great quote. Kelly, read it out.
Benjamin Franklin, when he was working on the white paper for Bitcoin, he actually said, "We hold these liquidations to be self-evident that all undue risks will be given hitherto thy exchanges and patient players." So I do kind of feel like that's a bit more what's going on right now. Is they're trying to remember Wall Street's entering en masse right now. Corporate stacking of Bitcoin has increased in the last 3 months 40%. And we're seeing ETFs by the dozen, not 1, 2, or 3, but ETFs by the dozen on the desk at the SEC, which remember, government shut down right now. Wall Street's entering en masse. So it makes sense that we're seeing a bit of this. Okay, let's clear up these order books a bit. Let's clear up all this open interest. I feel like it's more of this going on than people realize. They just think the market is out to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then shout out to Hidden himself.
You are banned.
So now I want to look at things that matter, our bags. Okay, so there's been a large washout of altcoins, major pain in altcoins. And the first and foremost one that I've seen being highlighted and actually has shown some extreme strength, I felt like was Tau, right? So I mean, drop your tickers in the chat if you have a coin that's bothering you the most or one that you think is outpacing. I want to look at Tau kind of first and foremost in this scenario. It's holding up above the $300 mark. Even with the chaos that's going on right now, I felt like that was absolutely insane to see. We got Arrow concerns, H-bar, wondering what the hell's going on. Solana ETF approval potentially. I'll be looking at that in the background while Kelly hops in and see if I can pull that up. A lot of concern about ADA. And, ADA is one of the most maddening projects to me personally. So I felt like we've looked at it a little bit in the past. 50 cents seemed like a pretty important zone. Pulse chain. Okay, hold on. I got to get another one.
You are banned!
I said I wasn't going to ban anyone else from the Hexagon community, but I had to do it, in DZ we trust. Shout out to DZ too. He's out there on let me bring up his wonderful picture here. DZ's out there. He's getting ready for a trip. I believe he's heading to Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah. Where is this pic? Getting all ready. I don't have it anymore. Dang it. Shout out to DZ though. Shout out to DZ. Now, Kelly, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. There's apparently a lot of top blasters out there in crypto that bought peaks and are well underwater. How cooked are we? And if we are cooked, are we well done? Let me know.
Well, I think we're getting a good char at the moment. And that char is this one right here. This is the price action. We got to swap our faces here. Boom, right there. This is that kind of getting to that overcooked portion. But the question is, what do you think this means? Well, here's the price action, but let's look at 2021. Let's look. This is right about where it peaked. This is the top of the cycle. Look at where we're at right now. Let's look at 2017. Oh my God, right about, we're right there, just a little bit short of it, but right at that top of the cycle. If we look at the different all-time highs along the way, interestingly, we're kind of correlating on the 4-year cycle theory that we're right in that exact zone. I think this is one of those things that is compounding uncertainty in the market. But remember, big corporate players aren't looking at the 4-year cycle. New people getting into ETFs aren't dumping because if they don't even know what the hell that is. So I do think we're going to see a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy of a dip around this region, which we're in the middle of right now. But do notice that as this is happening, this move that we have right now, let's just take a measurement. We are right there at about 17, 18%. Back here, we saw 30%. Over here, we saw roughly 30%, 32%, 33% at the wick. If we do candle bodies, 27%. We saw that again also right here. These were all those 20% moves that we saw. But if we zoom back, go back just a little trip down memory lane on the way to the upside, that is a 30% dip. We saw another move right here that was about 15%. But if you zoom back even a little bit further, you realize that there was, I don't even know what the heck that was going on there. But all of these dips, these are not small. These are nothing to trifle with. That's 34%. You see that? 37%. Again, 34%. Again, 40%. So the question is going to be right now that makes it a little bit more constrictive in terms of sentiment. And is the market being fearful of the 4-year cycle, sitting on a very key line that we're seeing has marked a very deciding factor in this bullish strength, and also getting a 20% dip. And people are so fearful they're going to end up round tripping this if they hold, that this kind of comes up and just, you get this massive meltdown into a 1-year bear market. That's what everybody's contending with, which is also why you look at the others chart, you look at the altcoins, and altcoins are, this is just, doesn't matter the chart you look at. You look at Morpho, looks weak, low, lower high, broke down out of a bullish range. Cardano, oh my God, low, lower high, breaking down. Everything feels like it's breaking down. So is there any hope in the charts? I think that's going to really be highlighted in tonight's video. Make sure you watch it. But Bitcoin's going to be that determining factor here, because you look at the Bitcoin dominance. Let's actually go to a cleaner chart. Let's come over here. This will be a bit cleaner, not as many lines on the chart. Look at this breakdown, kind of swing up, massive wick to the upside. But still, it's not giving us clear signal. Is this going to trickle back up? Is this going to break down? Everybody's waiting on this signal on dominance. But I feel like it's a bit of a patience game, because everybody's wondering what happened to October. The hunt for, again, actually, I want to share something that's funny, because I think everybody can relate to this. And that is this chart right here. This right here. Everybody's feeling like this right now. They see the pattern. Okay, this is supposed to break down. Cool. So let's do a lower stop loss. Oh, it goes straight up. Okay. No, it's not going to do it to me again. Double top's got to break down. Let's set our risk. Oh, breaks up. Okay, what the absolute hell? Okay, we have open to our side. This is going to break down. Oh, moonshot. This is what everybody in the market that is trading is feeling right now. And it's because we're in this reconstitution, this evolution of global finance. But gold is just running away, and we keep getting, every time we get some bullish momentum, Trump drops a tweet. I don't know.
I think gold's going to top out in about
I
a
do
month.
think we have some pain still in store.
Yeah, I think gold is going to keep wicking. I showed it on the morning show, but I do feel that gold, when it did this last time, it had like 3 months of up only max pain, be into the sky, and then it kind of tapped out. So may as well pull this up just to talk about it, because I think gold is the belle of the ball. Everyone's like, oh my God, did I just completely screw up by not getting gold instead of these damn altcoins? So the last time we did this, we went through this. We're cutting rates into inflation increase, political pressures on the Federal Reserve, max chaos. You had 3 months of really painful up action, right? So boom, boom, and boom. And the last month was a total blow off top, and it all happened these 3 months after a consolidation of a few months that kind of built a little build up shelf. The same macro environment exists now. It caused the same reaction on gold's chart. And we are on the 3rd month of this move. So the wick, I could see this wick making it up to like $4,800, maybe even $5,000. But seeing retail line up for gold, seeing all the people kind of FOMO in, it does make me think that there's going to be a cool off moment for this. In general, I'm not afraid to trade this chaos right now, but I am continually reminding everyone in this environment, stop losses are your friend, right? You do not want to blow up your entire bag during this time. What I see is a institutionally controlled collapse to the upside on Bitcoin, on crypto, gold. Like, this is a hyperinflationary move to the upside. It's a collapse up. People laughed at me when I said this 2 years ago. No one's laughing now about that conversation, right? They see it happening in front of their eyes. So soon, I think that this is going to find an equilibrium. The problems that we're going through right now with Trump opening his mouth every single day, causing conflict, using his art of the deal on China and Russia, is kind of a necessary evil, right? And I don't even think it's an evil. I would say it's hardcore negotiation tactics against two of the most aggressive countries on the planet, China and Russia. And if we would have Kamala in the place of Trump, we would be absolutely cooked, because China is not willing to negotiate with women, nor is Russia, flat out. So you can be upset about that comment, or you can acknowledge cultural differences between the United States and other nations, right? Not everything acts like America. Women have rights here in America. And culturally, that changes very, very quickly when you leave the confines of your perfect protected little country that has fought so hard for those rights to be retained. Now, where I see this market going over the course of the next year is quite different than a lot of people. I think that the midterm elections are going to drive the incentive of the Federal Reserve to put in nasty quantitative easing measures. I already showed you the FDIC website earlier this morning. The reason to print has never been stronger than ever for the United States, the Federal Reserve, and the banks within it. That's why Jerome Powell came out and said, hey, banks, we love you, boo, but a couple of you are going to die. That's what he said under his mouth as he was doing that live speech about a week ago. So seeing that chart, Kelly, it really reminds me that, this time is structurally different. Why? Is because now you have ETFs involved, you have longer term players involved, you have bigger bags involved. It's not the simple 4-year cycle, rinse and repeat process. Now is the time you would historically find a top in Bitcoin price action. Yes, called the local top. My price oracle gave me that. But I think that things are structurally different, and people that think they can out trade BlackRock by using a simple 4-year cycle metric are going to find out that we are in a very, very different scenario in terms of macro liquidity. And that is my opinion. I do have enough balls to say that. And you know what? It is what it is. People will think I'm wrong again. They said I was wrong about stagflation. They said I was wrong about COVID. They said I was wrong about Ukraine. Every time that we run into these massive, massive pinch points where people's realities are about to be shifted, I find this same aggression towards what I'm saying that I see in the chats right now. And it's going to leave people out. Okay. It's going to leave people out. And you know what? The only reason that I was able to get $4,000 Bitcoin is because I leaned into the dangerous feeling, the dangerous time that I do feel like we are in right now. People are going to be out there. They're going to fade this situation. And you know what? I'm not sorry. You get crypto at the price you deserve, right? I'm in crypto because I wanted freedom from government control of my finances. Finance and where you send it is an expressionary move. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is a expression that I think a lot of people take too lightly. Where you put your monetary energy into, that is where the economic activity ends up going to. So with that, it is.
I'd love to also highlight, because I know you talked about it a little bit this morning, but this is not a small thing. This is, when we talk about what's going on that caused a pretty big washout in the markets when we had the 3 or 4 largest banks in history fail, we're kind of entering a very weird position right now, especially with the government shutdown. We're seeing the SOFR spreads blow out even more now to the highest level since 2019, and regional banks are suffering some of their worst losses since the banking crisis of 2023. This is what I'm talking about. When we had FTX collapse that was so detrimental, I remember my mom asked me if I was going to get out of Bitcoin because of the FTX collapse. 3 months later in March, we saw 4 of the biggest banks in history fail. I asked my mom, are you going to get out of the dollar? She said, why? I said, because she didn't even know the banks had collapsed. There's so much cognitive dissonance, but this is major. This is not some small thing when we're considering it. And you can see this is also one of the indications, one of the sort of the risk offish approach. And here's the deal in crypto, everybody. You got to realize, we're going to get to those gifts in a second. You have to realize Bitcoin is the ultimate risk asset. However, there's very big money at play, traditional legacy market players involved, as well as like the biggest institutions in the history of the world, financial managers that are involved, and sovereign bodies that are involved with Bitcoin. So they can also look at the sentiment of the traditional market risk on, risk off narrative, and also see all this free, frothy liquidity. It's in the charts, which is why we saw that big washout the other day. It wasn't just because Binance had locked liquidity for other exchanges. The individuals put that open interest in the market. So now when you see a potential risky headline with the regional banks, you see some of the dominoes fall of de-risking, and big players can also lean into that and make the market cascade to better prices so they can get better positions.
And this representation, as Kelly's speaking, is exactly what happened the last time the banks ran into this scenario. So we watched down, it was around April timeframe of 2023 when I think it was like First Republic, SVB, a lot of banks went under, right? And we crashed. A lot of people were left on the sidelines looking for this mysterious $10,000 Bitcoin. They were looking to catch Bitcoin at this $10,000 level. I leaned into this, actually bought this dip. I bought this dip. I bought all of these damn dips up in this, and it went the direction I expected it to go, because when you run into macroeconomic stress on banks, the government basically just prints a bunch of money to fix their problems. It is what it is. I keep saying that, but there is no changing this unless the aggregate of humanity realizes that they are literally being stolen from by central banks. If people don't understand that there is actual theft to your future happening from the people that you feel like you elected to lead, then nothing's going to change, right? And I really, over the last maybe like week or 2 weeks ago, I was like, damn it, we lose some moving averages and we have to go into a haircut. But when I woke up this morning and saw $103,000 Bitcoin, I smiled, because it's presenting opportunity. It's presenting something to me. I'm in a scenario where I know Bitcoin is here to stay. I know that the government has intentions to confiscate it, setting the same precedent as the 1930s, leading into World War II. They confiscated gold because they knew they were going to go to a gold standard. right? So they use the military to go steal the gold out of American citizens' hands, and they built a gold reserve. Then they win World War II, become the world reserve currency, and then fast forward to 1971, they pull everything off, and it's been a rug ever since for 50 years, and that's what's causing the loss of value in the dollar. Kelly, you had an absolutely banger post about the DXY that I want to take a look at here, because a lot of people are in disbelief that the dollar can go any lower. I'm going to give you the floor. Take it away, Kelly. Tell me
Well,
what you see.
it's super important. I mean, we can see just in this dollar chart, the DXY, we can see this compression that we're coming into right here. Remember, I adjusted this chart today because before we were talking about with all of these, and I had the different levels and stuff with the price action over here. And remember, this was roughly about when the price was coming in. Look at that. You can see the dates on the bottom. February into March, and we had that little pump up here. That was a little scary. And then the fall, the break. Look at where the break. Look at this is very interesting. The break of this line, right? The first week of April. First week of April. What happened the first week of April? Actually, on April 7th and April 8th. That is when I had outlined. I actually did a major post on it on X as well, and talked about it on stream. That if the dollar broke this level, or even came back, tested it, and rejected to come back down, we are going to see a boom in price action. Well, Bitcoin went from 109,000 to 74,000. And it was on this rejection here that we had the bounce at 74,000. Now look at what the dollar has done. Even though Bitcoin's gone from 48,000 to 74,000, those lows, and then went all the way back up to $124,600 with the dollar chopping sideways. This is actually overwhelmingly bullish because we have this trend line right here, 18-year support. And yes, it is 18 years, comes all the way back to 2008. And just notice, if the dollar does drop out of this zone, especially with all this massive buying pressure we're seeing in gold, if this does drop out of this zone, this is where risk assets really pump. Again, Bitcoin's ultimate risk asset, but it's still trading like a risk beta, where if this drops, we see a very beautiful correlation of, remember 2021 into 2022, where we had that big crash in Bitcoin. Look at the dollar. The dollar just mooned to the upside. Now, what we're seeing here, if this does drop from an 18-year support line, this is going to be major for Bitcoin, altcoins, I think, as well, but Bitcoin is going to be the shining star here. The question is going to be, in this zone, are we ready to break down from it yet? Is this going to chop sideways, well into the beginning of 2026 and then make a move? I don't know. But if this does break up and push back out, then this is a scenario where that 4-year cycle plays out the same way, and we'll likely see a lot of downward pressure or removal of buying pressure on Bitcoin.
Absolutely. And you know what? In order for that chart to break to the upside, they have to make the dollar more expensive, more sought after, and they have to stop printing it, right? But let's fast forward to where they're actually going to go. Quarterly credit loss provisions, stronger floor, and now moving up to the upside in a very violent fashion very soon. And the securities and dragging the banking sector into the hellhole where they belong is stronger than it's ever been. And I got to take a second. Byron Hardy, huge shout out to you. Thank you very much for the 10 gifted subscriber memberships, man. He gives us that support because we don't just cover Bitcoin and altcoins. We don't just come up here and react to prices for you guys. I am sitting here with Kelly laying out the likelihood and the probability, not possibility, that the government is getting ready to print $10+ trillion in a very short amount of time and increase the dollar supply that much more, causing a cascading effect on the Dixie that you just highlighted there. This matters so damn much because where do you sell your crypto into? If you're selling Bitcoin, what are you going to use that monetary energy for? Where in the hell do you go? Do you go to real estate, where they continually increase the taxes and insurance costs? Do you go to gold at all-time highs? These are the things. I was also thinking about maybe buying a vehicle.
Look at that. Dollar is down 15% since 2022. Okay, let's ignore that. Let's look from right here. This is right at the beginning of this year. And this year alone, the dollar's lost 11% of its value. And they tell you 2% inflation. All those numbers are a gimmick. CPI is a gimmick. They cut out any metric there that doesn't fit the narrative they want. Why not include coffee? Why not include gas? Why not
Well, they
include
take
housing?
it out. The moment it spikes, they take it out of the data, right?
Yeah.
That's the scam. That's the scam, Kelly. And so, really, when we look at this situation, I completely can understand and emphasize or empathize rather with the fear that is going on right now in the market. I absolutely can. But really, with the outlook of no stopping of printing and the expansion of data centers, nuclear energy, and essentially AI to put you and everyone around us out of work by taking over our positions with automated systems, leaves me no choice but to act extremely aggressive. Bitcoin, one of the best vehicles. And I want to know, like, in terms of where you sell, if you plan to sell your Bitcoin, what do you actually intend to buy? Or are you simply just holding Bitcoin for the long term? Let me know down the chat, long term or selling out. In the chat right now, I need to know what your guys' plans are because this matters. I care a lot about the community, the group of people that we built up over years and years of hard work. I want to know, have you been broken by the Trump effect, right? Has the Trump effect broken you? Because we are in Thunderdome. There is no denying. There is no denying that. So it's an interesting time frame for sure to digest. And now where we are in Bitcoin, I mean, I'm getting tempted by this damn chart. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting tempted. Let's add this to the stage. I'm looking at potentially taking a shot at this. Like, I could see us catching a little bit of a haircut if we go up to this zone about 109.1. But we are trying to dig ourselves out of that tranche that was found last night. We had the Binance release. There's a lot of news that France had come out and they were going to investigate Binance. It's basic anti-money laundering overscope. So kind of hyperbolic headlines maybe played into this big pullback right here. Also with the Chinese escalation about Taiwan. But really, like, I'm at a point where I know that energy is going to remain valuable. And people say, oh, well, nuclear energy is going to make energy basically free. No, it doesn't make the 10 to 20 trillion dollars you need to print to build that infrastructure out free, does it? Right. And this is where people's brains just click off. They just don't think about the long term of where the dollar's actually going. And I'm not going to say it gets aggravating, but it's our job to come out here and talk about these events so that I can make the best decision for myself in a public manner, right?
Well, we got to get back to the data. I mean, you look at this
Mhm.
chart right here. This chart is very simple. All I'm looking at here is I did not look at the price action. I looked at just the RSI and I saw how low the RSI was, kind of double bottoming here.
Mhm.
And I just put a vertical line, and just kind of went back a ways when we were, roughly about this deep. Let's go a little bit further. Option V. Let's see another D point. Option V. Okay, let's see how this plays out on the chart. What is the price doing when those things happen? Okay, well, this is where we kind of came into a bottoming territory. This is that tariff crash. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Look at that date, April 9th. That's what I was talking about. Look, boom, slingshot up. Came very deep right there. That was the move that boom shot us from 98,000 up to 126,000, 125, 126,000. We got another very deep weakness in the RSI read here, and we went from 108. This is that move. Boom, look at that. That's about a 16% move. Now, this does not signal that the bottom is in. This does signal that we're getting into a strength territory that tends to bounce from here and does see some sort of movement to the upside.
Mhm.
Again, I've talked about this for the last 2 years. These markets run away in one direction, trapping people, flush out in the opposite direction, really capturing fear, ultimately to come back to an equilibrium, and then the real move happens. So is this the same thing that's playing out right now? The same time we're having fear and greed hit the same level that the last time that fear and greed hit 22 was when the price was right here at this level here from
And they tried to
52
get out. People told me that I was an idiot for staying in the market at this moment.
Yeah. And yet again, we're right at that ultimate fear level. I think it's compounded a bit again with the 4-year cycle. I'm not expecting this to do exactly what we saw back here when the price, hit 52 here and went 107% pump from there. I do think we're probably in for a bit of chop solidation, which is going to really frustrate people. If we do push up, I think we're going to have to do some work to shake off some of the sentiment. But remember how quick these narratives change, especially if we get a resolution on China, if we get rate cuts, if the government shut down. If that happens in a 2-week period, 3-week period, all systems go again. If only one of those or two of those or things are, I think we're in for a little bit of a choppiness. But I personally, I'm very rooted in not thinking that this cycle's over.
Well, I will say this is that the devil, he doesn't come with horns. He comes with comfort, tells you to rest before the worst. Where we're at right now is not a time for rest. Many people will check out. They're going to look back at the charts and a lot of pain's going to be had, right? I feel that there is a massive, massive change to what we know in terms of 4-year cycle. We've lasted longer at the upside for Bitcoin dominance than we ever have. That's a statistical fact. We are nearly a year past expectations for an alt season, right? That's a different metric. We also got to our all-time high of previous markets quicker than we'd ever done before, and we ranged longer than we have ever done before. There are multiple structural differences to this market that I get kind of aggravated that people don't acknowledge. The belief they just want to hold on to this hardcore idea that the halving cycle is going to supersede monetary printing cycles. And I just really feel like that's a big fallacy. So, and it's here in America. I'm talking about in America. Let me know in the chat. Are you in America? If so, what state? And if you're outside of America, I see some viewers from Brazil. We got some folks out there in Australia. What country are you in right now? I want to know that because I cover the American economy very, very heavily because it is the world reserve currency still. It's the largest economy on the planet, and it really drives the boat in any direction that it's going to end up going. But there are other countries that are trying to make moves, and they're come up with Bitcoin before America actually does it. United States of Texas, Utah, USA. Let's see here. We got
Spain.
Hola, that means Mexico, maybe. Maybe that means Mexico. Philippines, India. Let's see here. I want to go through this. We get another 10K to 100K. We should do another 10K to 100K challenge. 100%.
Yeah.
We absolutely should. Absolutely.
Thank you for the
man.
super chat as well.
Yeah. The island of Colorado, Pakistan. See, so we got viewers all across the world.
But Drew, I do want to highlight because there's some bearish fear in the market right now, but there are some charts that are looking absolute like dog S and other ones that actually look, this one actually looks bullish. Look at Tau. I just want to show it in comparison. Just look at this chart kind of resolving back to the upside, and then look at Ondo just melting to the downside. So we're seeing some strength in certain areas and not strength in other areas. But look, this is just monumental. This move on this wick, the bounce all the way back up here, 258% move from that wick out bottom back up. And not only has it drawn down, does that mean it's over? What I'm seeing is, yes, it drew down on this bounce, but the bounce is right now testing at this previous range that we've been watching for quite some time. I didn't even adjust this chart. We've just had this on the chart that goes all the way back here till December of last year. And so it's really trying to battle its way through that zone. Similarly with Solana, multi-year trend line. We've been talking about this, still finding support there. We're all seeing some relative strength being able to maintain that. While this looks like absolute bearish garbage, it looks like it wants to break down. I would just be a little cautious here. I feel like the market's trying to really trap people and shake people out. Say, how many people out there hold Say? And if you do hold Say, are you still holding it, or did you already drop the bag? Because this is, looking a bit weak here, fell out of that, beautiful symmetrical triangle. And interestingly, look at that symmetrical triangle, guys. It kind of almost perfectly came to what that target was out of it. So is it worst over? I would say maybe not necessarily, because we still have this descending level of support all the way down here. But the RSI is already overcooked. Last time it was overcooked. Look at what it did. Boom, to the upside. So I think the market's looking to shake some people out. Avalanche, absolute meltdown from that range that it had. The nice move all the way up here to $36. Now sub $20 again. If you liked Avalanche here, I mean, look at that dip. That is, talk about an opportunity. That's a 50% haircut. Currently, it's still at 44%. I'm curious, everybody out there that's watching, you guys let us know. What should we be having our eyes on? Maybe that we haven't highlighted. What in your portfolio do you not mind that it's dropped, or what have you been buying on the dips, or are you selling everything? I'm curious what moves you guys are taking.
These comments are killing me. Dump the Ponzi. It's just the emotions are so raw and rugged out there. Holy God.
Linnea, yeah. That one's kind of cooking with a lot of their deals with the Swift and some of the, and remember Joe Lubin, who is it Joe Lubin? Yeah, Joe Lubin.
Yeah, Joe Lubin and Consensus.
One of the founders of Ethereum. Yeah.
Yep. And Linnea has just been battered and beaten down. I might actually use some trading funds, pick up a little bag of this bad boy. I mean, this is a tiny market cap, high risk, high reward type scenario. You know, I'm crazy enough to lean into this. Litecoin's been looking. You did a little bit of a write up on Litecoin, didn't you?
I was on a Spaces last night on the Discover Crypto Thursday Spaces that we're doing. I had Crypto Face on there, Chris Klein from Bitcoin IRA, Zach Humphreys a number, and Sammy Loyal. And yeah, we were just looking. Somebody was talking about Litecoin, and remember they're still in that kind of high, you know, pretty good institutional. I'm trying to turn off the comments. There we go. It's because you have to go and find the comment to hide it, which is
I
such
know.
a pain. No, but they were talking about the Litecoin, and the drawdown that Litecoin saw actually looked a bit more bullish than we saw in a lot of other assets. This is not the chart I wanted to show. It's let me make it naked. Let me make it naked. All right, so let's look at the 3-day chart. Yeah, we had the sell off, but look at that. I mean, it went from 135 down here to about 75. But the point here is, look at this. It's a multi-year. I mean, all the way, look at this, all the way back to 2018. Litecoin is like really dancing on this. And this has, even though it's out of the zeitgeist of most people in crypto, I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. It's a fork of Bitcoin. It's proof of work. It's got incredible mechanics behind it in terms of how it's engineered. And it's also one of those coins that's a part of some of those first ETFs that are likely going to get, basically released. RSI is looking fairly coming into, I don't want to say strength, but the lows. You're getting higher lows here on the RSI. We're testing this multi-year trend line. So this is one of those coins I kind of keep an eye on, because I think this is going to be one. It's not like it's like Zcash, but one of those dinosaur coins that people just forget. Corporate money's not watching crypto YouTube. Corporate money, institutional money is not looking at crypto Twitter. They're looking at projects that have some sort of legacy and have ultimately really good uptime. Litecoin's got 100% uptime and has good mechanics. I don't know. So I think it's one of those coins that people need to get back on their radar.
Something just came to my mind. So in my opinion, we just saw an attack on the Trump family through Athena that would have spilled into Aave and World Liberty Fi Holdings by Binance. My opinion, personal opinion, right? Athena, I haven't looked at the chart, but it was having a lot of trouble once it fell off of around like 70 cents. This washout came. I am curious if Athena actually might look pretty decent from a stable coin side, from a long-term kind of crypto integration side. Athena looks strong in terms of fundamental. What is this chart? Holy God, it actually came back up higher than that range it was at.
Look at that. Look at that wick. 216% wick.
Whoa.
This is how much they tried to really devastate it. But look, the nice thing is the candle closed here. We found support there and we're starting to move up. And now what is that level? Well, it's right on the neckline of this W formation. It's right where this rejected. It's right where this rejected. It's right where this found support. It's right where this rejected. So there's a lot of price memory and liquidity interested in this price level, about 40 cents. And it's currently now pushing up about 44 cents. That's on the 3-day chart. What does it look like on the 4-hour? It's trying to do some work. You see the difference there, guys? This is why you look at different time frames. 3-day chart, you get 2 candles. On the 4-hour chart, I get a lot more data here. Broke down, pushed up, came back down, have a higher low, trying to fight its way up, and look at where the RSI is rounding. Remember, you always look to other data. Let's pull up the money flow as well. RSI, where is it at right now? It's trying to realistically nudge its head, and it's kind of been doing this for some time, trying to realistically get over this weakness half. This lower half is a weak strength in that asset. You want to see, if you're expecting a pump, a breakout of the weak zone back into the strength territory where strength is in control. We're getting a little bump here in money flow, but it's already flattening. So I don't know if it's ready to go yet. It's right at a moving average here, the 50 moving average. So in order for this to really start to get a sort of swing to the upside, we'd want to see the price on Athena really clear above 47.80 and the RSI to be pushing up with money flow as well. As it stands right now, it's trying to at least make its way there, but it looks like it has some work to do. But again, it's kind of aligned with some of the right players, with World Liberty Finance, Donald Trump's family.
Yeah.
But that also means it could be under attack from other threat purveyors out there.
100%. We just saw the stress test, the attack. They're poking the bear. So with that being said, you know what? Oh, we got a super chat. Noah just picked up 1 million XCN on sale. The kind of mentalities that actually make money is view pullbacks as sales during a bull market. And really, you know, structurally, I think things are changing to a pretty good degree right now, you guys. So in this zone, you can either batten down the hatches, act protectionist in a hyperinflationary environment, right? That is how you can act in a hyperinflationary environment. That means that you are losing. If you keep your money still in an inflationary event, you are losing. So with that being said, I am acting aggressively. Why I don't mention Zebek, I don't care about the project, King, my man. So in this, you know, this zone that we're in right now, I expect Trump's ego to supersede all reality, all reason, and he's likely going to use it.
Remember what happened last Friday too. We got another Friday close coming up. That sort of 1 or 2 hour period where you get a really thin order books. There could be another shakeout. I'd be very cautious going into this weekend, seeing how much how much volume that we had trading in every direction last weekend. Watch what happens with the CME futures close today about 4 or 5 p.m. and then watch where they open on Sunday.
Yeah,
that'll likely start to give it, because we're getting into the second half of October. So we got to pay attention to what's going on. Is there going to be a run up into the Fed rate cut, or is everybody like, dude, I don't know what the heck is going on? Don't fall victim to just cheating in the markets because the market is just rinsing people right now.
You're making me want to bring up something that I probably shouldn't. Okay. That word makes me want to bring things up, but I love you guys. It's a rough road. It's going to be very bumpy, not just over the next year, but over the next 10 years. Okay. And where we're at right now is max confusion, max pain. What I do feel very sure of is that they are going to print your dollar into more uselessness. Fiat currencies are scrambling to control our dollars. I am taking advantage of this moment. And I am leaving my crypto on cold storage devices. This is a time frame where you need to really understand how important keeping your big bags of crypto off of exchanges during these hyper-tense situations really, truly is. I love you guys. We're going to go eat some maybe steak. You know, I got a little bit more steak to take. Are you going to hang out with the Doge and the gal this weekend? What you going to be doing? What are your plans? And let me know, are you going to go enjoy the world, touch some grass?
My dog, you know where my dog is right now? I'll show you. I think I can pull it up here on camera. This is where my dog is right now. This was yesterday, Frankie Candles.
Oh my God, Frankie's hijacked your dog.
I got the doggo with Mr. Candles, Mr. and Mrs. Candles. Yeah, my girl's birthday was yesterday. We're gonna hang out this weekend, kind of run around, maybe go down to Atlanta, do some stuff. But yeah, just I'm gonna step away from the charts a little bit this weekend. I'm gonna reset my spirit a little bit outside of the tug, push, pull. I'm tired of pulling my emotional fib.
Yes.
And so you got to reset. You got to be with family. You got to cook some food. You got to get some sunshine on your shoulders, hug a friend, kiss a puppy, do whatever you got to do. But make sure, remember, we're going to be here. We got content coming out this weekend. I got something that's everybody tune into that. I'm really interested. DZ's away right now. Let's make it embarrassing for him when he comes back, because we love DZ here, but let's make every number, every engagement, every like, the viewership on stuff. Let's make it just be like, hey, bro, we got to.
He's gonna go into wolf mode if we do that, bro.
Yeah, let's go
know
into
what I
beast
mean?
mode.
Yeah, love you guys though. We are working hard for you endlessly. I'm gonna keep driving across the state every single morning, dropping all my kids off, and getting here early after a workout to bring you the alpha. And when I do see a reason for the government to batten down the hatches and to stop printing, to stop doing quantitative easing, and to stop this basic debasement of our dollar, I'm going to let you know. We're not there yet. I love you guys. We will see you on the next episode.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.